Good morning, friends. Our timely truth today is taken from First Samuel chapter 1, 1 to 18. I would like to focus on two verses. First Samuel 1, chapter 1, verse 10. It says, "In bitterness of soul, Hannah wept much and prayed to the Lord." And in First Samuel chapter 1, verse 18, then she went her way and ate something, and her face was no longer downcast. The cause of Hannah's brokenness is listed in Scripture. In First Samuel chapter 1 verse 5, she was barren with no children. In verses 6 to 7, she was verbally abused. Elkanah here has two wives. The other wife, Peninnah, would taunt Hannah and make fun of her because the Lord had kept her from having children. In verse 8, she was neglected by her insensitive husband. He would ask, "Why are you crying, Hannah?" Elkanah would ask, "Why aren't you eating? Why be downhearted just because you have no children? You have me. Isn't that better than having 10 sons?" In verses 13 and 14, she was misunderstood by Eli the priest. Eli thought that she was drunk when she was in fact praying. And in verse 15, she was seemingly forgotten by God. And in verse 7, her pain is revealed as she wept and could not eat. Maybe like Hannah, you've had an unfulfilled desire or expectation. Maybe you were verbally abused and suffered neglect from a parent or insensitive spouse. Maybe you've been misunderstood or seemingly forgotten by God. Let us take notice of what Hannah does in this situation. In First Samuel chapter 1, 9 to 18, once after a sacrificial meal of Shiloh, Hannah got up and went to pray. Eli the priest was sitting at his customary place beside the entrance of the tabernacle. Hannah was in deep anguish, crying bitterly as she prayed to the Lord, and she made this vow: "O Lord of heaven's armies, if you will look upon my sorrow and answer my prayer and give me a son, then I will give him back to you. He will be yours for his entire lifetime, and as a sign that he has been dedicated to the Lord, his hair will never be cut." As she was praying to the Lord, Eli watched her. Seeing her lips moving but hearing no sound, he thought she had been drinking. "Must you come here drunk?" he demanded. "Throw away your wine." "Oh, no, sir," she replied. "I haven't been drinking wine or anything stronger, but I am very discouraged, and I was pouring out my heart to the Lord. Don't think I am a wicked woman, for I have been pouring out of great anguish and sorrow." "In that case," Eli said, "go in peace. May the God of Israel grant the request you have asked of him." And in verse 18, "Oh, thank you, sir," she explained. Then she went back and began to eat again, and she was no longer sad. So, as the story goes, on their annual trip to the tabernacle to worship, while everyone else is eating and enjoying the festival, Hannah goes to the tabernacle to unburden her heart to the Lord. So while everyone else is eating and enjoying the festival, Hannah goes to the tabernacle to unburden her heart to the Lord. She can retaliate against Penina, Elkanah, and Eli and get bitter, or she can be healed in prayer. Hannah's choice? She prayed and cried bitterly to the Lord, continued praying and poured her heart to the Lord. And in verse 18, after she did this, she went back and began to eat again, and she was no longer sad. Hannah's praying teaches us that prayer requires no special formula. You can just go in before the Lord, cry your hearts out, poured in silent prayer. And then prayer releases our problems over to the Lord. This is what Hannah did. He released over her problems to God. And then prayer recovers our joy and peace. She went her way and she was no longer sad. We can all learn from Hannah's story. We all have two choices when we hurt. We can become victims, bitter, and look for pity, or we can grow and move forward through the ministry of prayer. God, through prayer, brings change within our hearts and heal us in the process. So all of this and more takes place in Hannah because she took her pain to the Lord in prayer. And if you read on 1 Samuel 1 onwards, God granted Hannah her request and gave her a son, Samuel. So, whatever that is that you are bearing, whatever that is troubling you, whatever that is heavily burdened in your heart, take it to the Lord in prayer. God will heal and God will answer your prayer. Thank you and God bless you all.